Okay.
Before you say
Good
anything, she started already.
afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for once again joining us live on the African Reform Movement channel, where we discuss everything to do with African reform with a specific emphasis on Ghana. My name is Uche, as you know, and Dr. Nee, as you know, if you've been with us previously, welcome back. If this is your first time joining us, thank you for joining us. You are most welcome. We look forward to interacting with you. We look forward to listening to your questions and your thoughts and concerns, and giving Dr. Nee the opportunity to answer them. If you are new here, Dr. Nee has a number of social media platforms. Please take a look. These are all in his description box. If you don't get opportunity to write them down, no worries. You can look at them at your own leisure after this live broadcast. He has also written a number of books: Weep Not Africa, The Fifth Republic, Tete Kwashi, The Stars to Follow. All of these books are available at his bookstore. Purchase those and have those at your leisure. As I always say to people, it will help you understand why Dr. Nee thinks the way he thinks and help inform you of some things you may not have known about before. Now, today's topic is an interesting one. The curse and blessing of slavery is a very interesting one. So interestingly, Dr. Nee, looking at what you've just put here, I was listening to a preach on the exact same thing yesterday. The exact same thing.
Oh, I see. That's interesting.
Yeah, the exact same thing yesterday. So I'll leave you to share it from your perspective. And everybody, please listen up and make sure you get your questions ready so at the end we can have a discussion. Dr. Nee, over to you.
Thank you very much, Uche. And the great people who have found time to do with us this morning in Ghana. Before I go on to the main topic, I'd like to say that today is exactly 17 months since we started, and we've had about 70 episodes. So Uche has done very well. I would like to thank Uche, the lead host, Shika, the substitute host, and Christina, who does the backroom work. Thank you very much, you ladies. One of these is a meet in paradise. We're talking about the curse and blessing of slavery. There are many types of slavery. We have the domestic slave, we have the collateral ones, or the bond slaves. Bond, B-O-N-D. And then we have the prisoners of war, and then we have the captives. Our focus today will be on the captives. I mean, domestic slaves, we've had it in Africa, in West Africa, in Ghana, since the dawn of history. In Ghana, we call them Aoba. All right, we call them Aoba. That's if you go and borrow money from somebody and you cannot pay, you send your child to go and serve this person until you can pay. And then the child is returned to you. Not very dissimilar to the bond people, similarly, except that for most of the time, the bond people are actually those who went for the bond, they're the collateral. Now, it's said that at the peak of the Roman Empire, about 30% of the population were bond slaves, collateral slaves. All right. And then we have the prisoners of war. These basically are people who are captured in war. And they are usually not killed, but they are kept together with the new captors as part of them. Most kingdoms, like the kingdom of Zulu, expanded by that means. Okay, you will come to this, Shaka will come to this, bomb the place out, capture people, and they become part of the army. All right, and then we have the captives. Now, the difference between the three previous types of slaves is that they are actually usually not for sale. They are not sold like commodities. They are not sold like bread. They are not sold like donkeys. They are not sold like cows. Sometimes they stay with the new family and they are returned when the money is paid back. or in terms of ways of war, when some arrangements are made and they are returned to their original people. But with the captives, they are sold. And that's the particular one we are dealing with here. Can we please have the second slide? Yes. And that's where the curse comes from. When you all know that the transatlantic slave trade was started by the Portuguese and not the British. When this issue was brought to Queen Elizabeth I, now the first, this is what she said. Capturing Africans against their will would be detestable and call down the vengeance of heaven upon the undertakers. Queen Elizabeth I was Queen of England from 1558 to 1603. She said that will be detestable and that will come with consequences for the undertakers, for those who capture and sell, and for those who buy and resell. I spoke about this before, that we captured ourselves and we sold ourselves to the Ishmaelites, and they took us to Egypt, which is America, and they resold us. And today we are where we are. All right, no mistake about that. And the curse will come on both those who captured and sold and those who bought and resold. No two ways about that. Okay, now when you capture a human being, you must know you are capturing the image and the temple of God. When you sell that person, you are actually selling the image and the temple of God. That is high blasphemy. And when you buy and you resell, you are doing the same thing to the image and the temple of God. And it comes with consequences. Okay. The curse is that you are transacting the image and the temple of God like another commodity. The Bible says that God created us a lower, just a little lower than the angels. And He gave us dominion over everything. When you disrupt that transaction between God and man, there will be consequences. What you are seeing in West Africa, what you are seeing in Ghana in particular, I believe is part of the case of capturing and selling our own kind to others. And what's happening in the Western world, the confusion, the drugs, and all those happening there, I believe they are also part of the case for them dealing in human beings as though they were commodities. Next slide. The story of Joseph. Now you understand here what it means to sell a human being. Genesis chapter 37. Please, when you go home, read the whole thing. Amazing stuff. Joseph was loved very much by his father. And then Joseph had a dream that at some stage, his brothers and his parents will all bow down to him. That fueled the resentment his brother had for him. Long and short story, the father sent him to go and visit his brothers in the field to find out how they were doing. And when they saw him come, they said, "Oh, here comes a dreamer." Don't be surprised when your whole family people see you as a threat to them. Here comes a dreamer. We are going to kill him and we'll see what will come of his dreams. But there was one of them called Reuben. The story said Reuben. And Reuben said, "No, we cannot shed blood. We cannot shed blood because if we shed blood, Heaven will descend on us. So instead of taking our brother's blood, let's throw him into the pit there. And his brothers agreed, and they threw him into the pit. Fortunately for Joseph, there was no water in the pit, in the well. But just as after they've done that, and Reuben, I don't know where it went, they saw Ishmaelites on their camels carrying spices, myrrh, balm, going to Egypt. At that point in time, Egypt was like America, the most powerful nation on earth. And they said, oh, then Judah said, what do we gain by killing our own brother? After all, it's our brother. Let's rather sell him to these Ishmaelites so they can take him to Egypt. So they pull him out from the pit and they sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver. And the Ishmaelites took him to Egypt and they sold him to Potiphar, captain of the guard, one of the officials of the Pharaoh. You all know what happened. Now, let's get this point clear. This is the only type of slavery that people sell others for those who buy to go and resell. Okay? The person is completely disconnected from his family, he's taken to a different country, and will be sold to people he has never seen before. It's not the same as domestic slaves, where somebody in your neighborhood will borrow money from you, he could not pay, and his daughter or son will come and stay with you until he pays the money back. It's no different from bond slave like Onesimus or Onesimus. Yes, I think it was this bond slave for what was it? Somebody in the Bible forgot it. I think it Philip or somebody in Ephesus. And as I'm saying, Apostle Paul even cleared his case and said he was prepared to pay whatever he owed his master so that he could gain his freedom. He was a bond slave in the same community. So he could be retrieved if his bond would be paid. But this one was different. He was sold to strangers who went and sold him in Egypt. The story of Jacob, Genesis 37. Please, when you go home, try and read it. And this is what happened in West Africa. We captured our own people and we sold them to Ishmaelites. And they took them somewhere and went and sold them. They took them somewhere else, completely from the environment. Took them to slave markets and sold them on slave markets. And that's why they call chattel slavery. It's a commodity that can be passed on from one owner to the other. That's what we did. But when the Queen of England, Elizabeth I, was approached, she said, those who undertake this business will have the vengeance from heaven. And when they were going to kill the brother Joseph, Reuben said, no, we shall not shed blood. If you do that, we'll be in trouble. It's so clear. Those who undertake this business will receive heavy punishment from heaven. Next slide. The blessing. Genesis 45. You all know the dreams of Pharaoh and how Joseph interpreted it, and he was made the prime minister of Egypt. And after 2 years of farming, his brothers came to Egypt to look for food. They thought he had died, but he recognized them, and that's what happened. And push back. he revealed himself unto them. He said, I am Joseph, your brother you sold. Today I'm father to the Pharaoh. I'm father to his house and to the whole of Egypt. Everything has been given to me. It's in my care. And you could see the looks on his brother's face. They couldn't believe. Now go to Canaan and bring my father here and tell my father that his son Joseph was still alive. And today, and he said, so many, Joseph was crying and screaming. The house of Pharaoh heard what was going on. And Pharaoh came and said, what's the problem? Oh, these are my brothers. They've come all the way from Canaan. And da, 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 da. He said, okay, I'm going to send the best of Egypt to go and bring your father. And Joseph told them something. God sent me ahead of you so that I could save you and I could save humanity. You thought you were doing evil, but God made it for good. And today, we are here. And then he cried first unto his brother Benjamin, the only brother that he came from the same mother. And then he cried unto the other brothers. He said, don't feel too bad. This is a bigger picture. God sent me ahead of you. And through that slavery, the mightiest nation on earth, Israel, was born. Israel was born in slavery. And today, look at Israel. Now, the blessings come when the sellers realize their mistakes and the soul forgives them. He realized that in all this discussion, please read Genesis 45. In all this discussion, Joseph never said anything about the Ishmaelites. So why are Africans focusing on the Ishmaelites? They show their own brother. Because we always want to be responsible. We always want to be responsible. We always want to judge the responsibility. The blessing comes because Joseph understood the divine calling upon his life, that he has been sent ahead to save his people and to save humanity. Next slide. Joseph in the modern world, the diaspora African, sold by his own brothers. Yes, we sold our own brothers into slavery. We sold them to the Ishmaelites, who took them to Egypt, the America of the modern, America, the Egypt of the modern world. So how do we get a blessing? How do we get a blessing? We get a blessing by one, apologize. And we get a blessing by two, our brothers there and our sisters there, shifting their focus from the Ishmaelites and bring their focus onto us, Africa. They have to see the big picture that they were sent ahead to save Africa today. Do you know what? The Jews were in Egypt for 430 years. As we are speaking now, 20th August this year, the Africans went to, it's 403 years since the first ship from Africa landed in Jamestown, Virginia. 1619, 20th August 1619, slaves from Angola landed in Jamestown, Virginia. 403 years. The Jews were there 430 years, and God delivered them by the mighty hand through Moses and Aaron. So we are close to that. What I'm saying, I'm not going to be alive to do that. I'm not going to be alive doing politics in 30 years' time. In 10 years' time, our probably be down with politics. But we have to speak the truth so that those who come after us will take it up. Joseph in the modern world is a diaspora African who was sold to the Israelites by his own. Next slide. Marcus Garvey. Back to Africa. Marcus Garvey caught the vision. He realized that there must be a reason why this slavery thing took place, or there must be a bigger reason. I must say that when I went to England for the first in 1992, my friend and the pastor of Fiji, who introduced Fiji to me, Pastor Kwame Dompe, he gave me opinions and philosophy of Marcus Garvey in 1992. And that changed me. Marcus Garvey never blamed the white man. Never. He blamed the weakness of the weak man, of the black man, the low consciousness of the black man. And the fact that if you don't do the right thing, everything will be repeated. He came with a back to Africa idea. He created the Black Star Line. Those of you don't know, the Black Star Line we talk about, he created it to bring Africans back to Africa. But that's one aspect of the beating heart. You see, the real thing is that we don't need African Americans to come back to Africa. They should be free to come. But they were sent there ahead of us to help us in this mess. I believe that. Next slide.
That was the last slide, Dr. Nee.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So now, why do I say that? You see, we have 41 million African Americans in America. Do you know the GDP of Black America? 2.3 trillion. 2.3 trillion. We have 1.2 billion Africans in Sub-Saharan Africa. Do you know the GDP of Sub-Saharan Africa? 1.7 trillion. So the economy of Black America of 41 million is bigger than the economy of Black Africa of 1.2 billion people. Black America is the Joseph in the modern world. How we are able to mobilize and harness that wealth to help develop Africa should be the business of governments, especially West Africa. When people ask me, hey, when you read my book, Wisdom Africa, you will see there's a whole chapter on the Joseph phenomenon. You have to catch the revelation that you are sent ahead to save a people. It was painful. His own brothers told him, they first threw me into a well, they took me out and sold me to total strangers. He went to Egypt, Potiphar's wife framed him, he was put into jail. But through all that, God took him out. And he never complained. And he never blamed the Ishmaelites. And he never blamed anybody. He never even blamed Potiphar's wife. He understood the greater agenda. Do our brothers and sisters in America understand the greater agenda? Or do we forever blame the Ishmaelites? Do we understand the greater agenda? Or forever escape responsibility? My message is that, yes, when you capture human beings against their will, you bring a curse on yourself. The curse will be removed when you realize your error and you ask the heavens to forgive you. And the blessings will come when you ask for forgiveness from your brothers and they forgive you. And the figures show that there must be a reason for 41 million Africans to have a GDP of 2.3 trillion. but we are not organized in Africa, and they're also not organized in America. So the money is staring at us, in the face. We don't know what to do about it. The African Reform Movement will change the dynamics. Ciao, Omanyaba.
Thank you very much for that, Dr. Nee. Thank you. I hope every one of you are catching that. Already Sophia has said here, this is very deep.
Make that so far.
So it is a thing about, that's what the person I was listening to yesterday was talking about, amongst other things, about the going ahead. There's many other things to talk about, talking from a complete perspective. But what he was also mentioning was like, even though it didn't look like it at the time, these things were allowed to happen because Joseph had been sent ahead to help keep his family alive. Joseph's line was the lineage through which Christ would eventually come. Had they all stayed where they were, they would have all been wiped out. If things followed the natural course, that line would have been extinguished and Christ could not come through that line. So there's other ways of looking at it as well. So it's quite interesting. Yes. So right, time to get your questions in, everybody. Come on. There must be something you have to ask out of all of that. So let me just ask you, Dr. Nee, have you always had these thoughts about the slave trade, blessing and curse, or was it a particular moment that made this revelation dawn on you? Was it the reading of the Marcus Garvey book, or what was it?
Yeah, to be quite honest with you, when I read Walter Rodney, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, that's when those ideas started coming to my mind. And I must be honest too, that there's this guy in Ghana now, Men's Notable. That was Pastor John's former boss. That's where we met. Actually, I met Pastor John. He also wrote that topic in some ways. But then when I read Marcus Garvey, who actually was a descendant of slaves, you feel it differently. Because he was supposed to be very angry because he had been displaced. But he wasn't angry. He was energized because he could see the divine role that those in the diaspora had for those on the mother continent. So that's where my ideas fell. And I'm talking about 1992. So from there, we started building up, when you travel and you see the relation between blacks and whites and have and have not, and educated, not educated, you tend to understand how these things come about. But I can say that, yeah, these were the areas that I got my inspiration from.
Okay.
Very, very important book to read. It's a big book, though.
What's it called?
The Opinions and Philosophy of Marcus Garvey.
The Opinions and
Philosophy.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Opinions and the Philosophy of Marcus Garvey. Okay. So, how would you? I know you've mentioned before that if once you get into government, that what you want to do is like make people understand that this is a fundamental element. Repentance is a fundamental element of turning the country around.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yes. Repentance is fundamental to recovery.
Yes. So is that just going to be like a one-off thing you're doing, or you're going to kind of like weave that into your governance? Because it won't be. It's such a huge thing, such a huge topic. Don't forget, you're talking about millions and millions of people that lost their lives.
Yes.
So how would you weave that into
recently there was talk of reparation, and CNN, one of the CNN guys asked one lady about now that the queen, the monarch will have to pay reparation, and then here they have something called agree and amplify. When you agree with somebody, but you amplify the point. Then she said, I've forgotten her name. She said, yes, there must be reparation, but it must start from the beginning of the supply chain. Who were those running up Africans to be sold? Where did the supply chain begin? When UK in 1807 abolished slave trade 2,000 British died in the seas preventing illegal slavery. At that point in time, it was African kings who were running up their own people and selling them illegally. So yes, if you're going to talk about reparation, you have to go to the beginning of the supply chain. Now we started the supply chain. Okay, we have to accept responsibility and ask heaven to take its vengeance from us. Now it's a key policy that's going to happen in the first 100 days when we come into power. Then we'll put in the other recovery structures. But we're going to invite all African Americans, all Asians, all West Indians, whatever, of slave ancestry, to representatives to come to Ghana. Yeah, yes, to come to Ghana. And then we hold a special service and we ask the heaven. And then we ask them to forgive us. And then we open up Ghana for them. If they want to be Ghanaians, they are Ghanaians today. Whatever they want to do, and then they will be part of the, like I always say, reverse colonialism is the first step to economic emancipation. They will be part of that program. We will not go to, if we had a GDP of 2.3 trillion, then we'll go to IMF, go and pay for 2 billion. We are crazy. We have 2.3 trillion sitting there, more than the worth of the whole of Sub-Saharan Africa. They will go and beg people for pittance. So that's the structure. First, forgiveness to pave the way to recovery. And they will have to put in the economic structure.
Okay.
Let it happen.
Okay, thank you. There's a question from Kenneth. There were Ishmaelites ready to buy. That is probably why our ancestors were sold. Am I right with this analogy? That should be an analogy.
No. No. The same way as the Ishmaelites were moving from wherever to Egypt, the brothers of Joseph saw them and they approached them. And mind you, like I said before, like I told you the other time, Mansa Musa took 12,000 slaves to Mecca. We're having slaves already. Okay, we're having slaves already. We're actually doing human sacrifice already. So the value for human life was not that great. And obviously, when the matter was brought to Queen Elizabeth I, she said there will be consequences if they did that. But to our own African kings, there were no consequences. They didn't do that. Okay, so forget about the Ishmaelites. Whether they were there ready or not, we saw that we never ever fought wars with any tribe to take their people as slaves. We saw that and we must take full responsibility.
Okay.
Obviously, they needed people to work on the farms. But if we said we're not going to sell them, they're going to kill us. Willing sellers and willing buyers. That's what business is about.
Do you think, Dr. Nee, it matters? How can I put it? We had there's a form of slavery going on in Africa already. Like people had that. But do you think when they were involved with the Europeans, they knew that these men, women, children that they were selling would be treated the way they were treated? Do you think they knew it was a different kind of slavery? I have the impression that they didn't fully know what.
No, I don't think they knew. personally, but you cannot sell the image of God. You can't.
So again?
You are not going to sell the image of God to somebody, a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
Why will you shackle somebody in chains and lock the person's neck with wood? That's how they treated their own people. So how do you expect those people to treat them?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you kill 4 people to get one to sell?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was the statistics. That for everyone captured, 4 others were killed. Because people will fight back.
Yeah.
Why were they doing that? Yeah, I don't think they fully understood what the guys were going through in the Americas. I don't think so. But that's not the point. The point is that why did you sell a human being like a dog?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm. It is. It's one of the, it's just even like now I can't wrap my head around it that anybody could do that to their own people. I just cannot wrap my head around it. I just can't. That you'd men, women, children that you just sell them like that. I just can't wrap my head around it. These are your own bloods, your own people. It shouldn't be done anyway. But to do that to your own people is just extraordinary to me. I just can't get my head around it. Yeah. Okay. I'm not seeing any questions. Does anybody have any questions? Even if you think it's very obvious. Oh, we've lost Dr. Nee. He'll be back shortly. Even if you think it's something very obvious, please just post it in the chat because I guarantee there's somebody who hasn't thought about that or are thinking the same thing you all think. So please post it in the chat. Any questions at all? Okay, let me see here. First one. Oh, no. Is that one?
Yeah. There is this case of Olauda Ikweno. He was a Yoruba guy
Yes. Yeah.
who was captured at the age of 11 and thrown into the slave ship by Yoruba people, not by a white man. He became a big philosopher. He was in the forefront. This was 1755 or 1756. He was in the forefront of the abolishment of slave trade with Wilberforce and the rest. By his own people. And like I told you, 36 of the 42 slave castles, forts and castles are in Ghana alone, 3 in Osu alone. We did it. Because the value for human life is so little. And we are doing it today. Today, they are not bringing the slave ships on the coast. We are chasing them through the Sahara to be enslaved. Because we don't respect human life. We are very wicked. I mean, our leaders. But it was our leaders who sold them in the first place. And our leaders are doing the same thing today. What has changed? And yet we blame other people.
I mean, is there? I mean, I don't know about a movement, but is such thinking beginning to gather ground, albeit slowly, in Ghana? People start to like look at what's going on and why, and what could be the cause of all of these things.
No, because like I said, no, there's no such movement. At least not to my knowledge. But the point is that we love to escape responsibility. So it's a major political undertaking to make it a big movement. And I'm quite happy to lead that movement. I'll definitely make it a point. It's a point. Because I can see the blessings in slavery. That you send people ahead of you in order to save you at a later time. Like I said, the Jews were in Egypt for 430 years. The Africans have been in America for 403 years. So hopefully our redemption is coming. Hopefully, our redemption is coming. And we must make that a leading voice in the diaspora African intercourse.
Well, surprisingly, there aren't any questions, Dr. Nee. Maybe they know it already or think about it, but people aren't sending any questions through. I've asked, so please put your questions through. No one's really
Yeah.
Apart from Kenneth, no one's really asking any questions.
And I'm trying, as you realize, today actually, I think I spoke for only 28 minutes.
Yeah, I
No,
saw
no,
that. Yeah,
I spoke for only 18 minutes.
I saw.
Only 18 minutes, yeah. Um, because I'm trying to do everything within 30 because, we are now getting about 200 viewers. That's not enough. The work ahead in Ghana needs millions, not 200.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll try and cover because maybe data is a problem for some of them, so they can't watch or whatever. But when you are communicating, you must try and go into the head of your audience and
Yeah.
see what are the hurdles. And probably the long sessions may be a hurdle. We'll try and reduce that and see what happens by the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is a lot of work for me and for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Yeah.
must see results.
Yes, we must. I agree.
Yeah. All
Must see
right, we must
results.
see results because applicants are very fun. I mean, they got to decide what they want.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll try very hard that we try and do this in 30 minutes, max 35. Now we are running on 41 minutes, which is shorter than usual, but we should be stopping anytime soon. Should be stopping very soon.
No, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
That's fine. That's fine.
yeah.
Okay, everybody. So I think in keeping with them, Dr. Nee's philosophy of shortening it, we're going to end it there. Thank you very much for joining us. Please feel free and to let all of your friends, your associates, your colleagues know anybody has an interest in Ghanaian politics who would be interested in this kind of content, or people who might not even know about Ghana, but this will help them get an understanding of where Ghana is and why. Direct them to this channel, direct them to Dr. Nee's Book Nook store. So let's just help spread the knowledge and spread the word out there as to what's going on. Okay. So yeah, Sophia, I know we posted this question. We posted this question. Okay, so thank you very much to everybody for joining us. As always, same time, same place next week, Saturday, where we'll have a different topic and Dr. will break that down for us as well. But like I say, spreading the word is very important. So please help us with that. We'd really appreciate it. Okay, so that's it from us. Enjoy your Saturday. See you
Yeah,
soon.
that's right. Go for banquet, tilapia and palm wine, all right?
Take care then.
All right, bye.